people are going to have to start being very, very vigilant, or should I say diligent, when it comes to using these dating apps. It doesn't matter what app it is. It seems like every week there's something going on with someone in these damn apps. And that leads us to this woman right here, whose name is Lauren Marie Dooley. She is 22 years old, and she basically kidnapped and tortured her Tinder date for a good while. She basically, in my opinion, could have damn near almost, and I hate to have to say it like this, almost Jeffrey Dahmer'd him, if you really think about it. And this article is coming from the Daily Beast that I'm about to read, and it was posted October 6, 2022. And what might be the worst of blind dates, a 21-year-old Colorado man is recovering from a Tinder date gone awry. The unnamed victim was found naked and bleeding in the parking lot of an apartment complex where his 22-year-old date, identified by police as Lauren Marie Dooley, allegedly performed oral sex on him before binding his wrists and ankles with duct tape and cutting him with a sharp knife. Dooley, who has been charged with felony second-degree kidnapping, second-degree assault, and menacing, is alleged to have enticed her date to remove his clothes before performing fellatio on him, and then taping up his hands and feet, to which he consented. I think he should have really thought about that when she started mentioning that she wanted to tape him up and all types of stuff like that. Like, red flag should have went off. The victim found it odd, but consented to it. An affidavit published by Law and Crime states that he felt that he should have been like, wait a minute, this is going a little too far and a little too weird for me. She then apparently took out a knife and threatened him, according to an affidavit. She demanded he get onto her bed, which he says was non-consensual given the introduction of the weapon. However, when Lauren produced the kitchen knife and demanded he get into her bedroom, the victim no longer consented to staying at the residence. Dooley, who will be arraigned Thursday, which of course has already passed, is said to have then climbed on top of her victim and proceeded to use the knife to cut his left shoulder. Lauren then used both her hands to apply direct pressure to the victim's nearly 20 seconds, making it difficult to breathe. Lauren stopped, but only to procure a belt that she then placed around the victim's neck. She tightened the belt for another 20 seconds, once more making it difficult to breathe. When she took it off, she checked the victim's neck for a pulse. Seemingly displeased by the man's bleeding on her bed, Dooley then allegedly forced her date into the bathtub to clean him up. Police said they found blood in the tub. In the midst of all this, she then ordered food from DoorDash and threatened her date. "If you scream or say anything, I'll kill you," according to the court documents. Dooley then ordered her date back to her bed and ate the food. She then fell asleep after placing the knife under the covers. Once Dooley was asleep, the victim told police he was able to finagle the knife to cut the duct tape and quietly leave the bed as he tried to find his keys. Dooley reportedly woke up and chased him into the parking lot, where witnesses said she threatened him with smearing his blood on her hands as he called 911. He could be heard arguing with Dooley as he called for help, explaining to her that he called the emergency services because you cut me and because you're going to kill me. Police and an ambulance were dispatched upon our arrival. Residents at the apartment advised that there was a naked male in the parking lot that needed help. Officers located the victim, who was naked and appeared to be bleeding from a laceration on his left arm. He was also actively backing away from the suspect, Dooley, who appeared to have blood smeared on her arms and hands. The victim exclaimed that Lauren tied him up and cut him. The victim's life was never in danger from the cut to his shoulder, police say. Dooley faces up to 25 years in prison if found guilty on the multiple offenses. Now, what the article does not mention is that her date was a black man. You heard that correctly. Her Tinder date that she did all of this to was a black man. That's why I said she almost Jeffrey Dahmer'd him. Because that what you just heard plays out like something Jeffrey Dahmer did to several of his victims. At least what it started out to be. He's lucky to be alive, especially with all the stuff that she did. But the red flag should have went up for him when she said that she wanted to tie him up and stuff like that, and then he consented to it. My thing is, what kind of kinks are you into? I bet you he'll never do that again. Now, this woman right here When I look at her face, and I meant to say this in the beginning, she looks like the mixture of Dumbo because of the ears. In the face, she looks like a hobbit. So she's a hybrid of Dumbo and a hobbit. Like, that's crazy how she has that look. Them ears are wide and flappy. That is crazy to me. But this woman is crazy as all bad shit, and she's only 22. She is 22 years of age. She is 11 years younger than me, and she has that sick, twisted fantasy. And see, the thing is, when it comes to Tinder, it breaks down the type of person you want, from every aspect, like size, weight, height, ethnicity, man, woman, of course. It breaks it all the way down. So it's not like this was some random person that they each kind of came across. They had to have seen each other's pictures. That's why people got to be careful when y'all are going on these apps, because you never know who you're going to run into. Just like last year, a couple years ago, when you had the black basketball player or the black football player, I forget what sport he played at VTech, who met someone, I think it was on Tinder, and he thought it was a woman, and it turned out to be a whole dude. Like, it was a real crime game situation. And of course, he took that person out. He went to jail. He got locked up a little bit. He went to trial and got found not guilty because he really did nothing wrong. He was the one that was pretty much set up. This black man who he went on a date with through this Tinder app, which looked more like a hookup than anything, because they really didn't go on a date. It was just for them to have sex. That's all it was. Because it didn't say they went anywhere else. They just went straight to her spot. But he's lucky to be alive, and all he suffered was a cut to his shoulder, because something tells me she was about to do some other things. If she had not fallen asleep and had the knife nearby for him to get it, and he wasn't, moving in a way where it wouldn't wake her up, she probably would have taken him out. I mean, she already went that far. She was probably going to go the distance if she woke up and he was still there, still tied up. Now, before I end this video off, I'm just going to say this one thing to the male divestors out there. Is this your queen?